Hi guys, this is Genevieve. I wanted to jump on and share a few ideas about this awesome season we're coming up to with vendor events. So how to find vendor events, how to make them successful, and just how to make the most out of your booth. So I wanted to run through some quick tips and tricks and things that I've learned over the many years of doing vendor events. It's one of my favorite things to do in this business because it's such a great way to make new leads and contacts. And I wanted to share some of the ideas that make it successful. So first of all, how to find vendor events. So look online. Obviously, like all the social media stuff is a great way to start looking for vendor events. Look for things that people are posting. Maybe you have other friends that are in direct sales that are already doing events. Send them a quick note and just ask who the organizer is and if they have a Pampered Chef person already. That's a great way, is just looking for all of those kind of referrals. Find out what events people love to do. Anytime you meet somebody that does another direct sales business, start networking with them and ask, like, what events do you find really successful and really helpful, because those are the people that are working them and will help find the really good ones for you. You can do also online searches. I do online searches all the time for like what's happening in my community, what's fun and exciting going on. Are there like kids carnivals going on? Are there school events going on? Are there community events going on? Like look online and just search, like even tourist pages and stuff. You'll be able to find like what tourists normally search for when they look for something fun to do in that area for that weekend. So there's lots of different ways that you can search for them. Then I also look for signs and billboards all the time, like outside of schools and outside of churches, anything like that. People are always advertising like what events are coming up that they're promoting, and so you can go and search for those as well. So that's a little bit on how to find the events. Now what to bring, right? You've set up your vendor event, or you set it up and you've paid for it. So now, like, what do you want to bring? So here's a quick list of things that I always want to make sure I have with me. So make sure you understand if they provide tables and chairs and things like that at the event, or even like a pop-up if it's going to be an outdoor event. But you want to make sure you bring your own tables and chairs, tablecloths and banners, right? I always like to use tablecloths and banners that have Pampered Chef on them so that people know and are excited when they see me and see my Pampered Chef logo. So the more you can present that at your booth, make sure it's on your tablecloths and banners and anything else that you can promote. I like to bring inventory with me, so some cash and carry items, and I'll talk about that in a little bit on what to do for that. But I always like to have some inventory and cash and carry items to sell. Make sure that you have a money bag with lots of change in it. So if you are doing a big event, you want to make sure you have change. There's nothing worse than missing a sale because you don't have change for a 20. Also, you want to make sure you have your catalogs, order forms, your tablet or your phone that you're going to be doing orders on, pens, recipe cards, and your calendar, of course. So have all those kind of things handy. Another thing I like to bring with me to vendor events are replacement parts. Sometimes people will drop by your booth and ask for a replacement part for like a food shopper collar. So bring those with you if you have a few. The ones I find really popular are the food shopper collar, lids for prep bowls, the little garlic cleaning tool, and lately I've been getting the wine opener like foil cutter. So those are some things that people are always looking for with replacement items. Oh, and the little wire frame to the egg slicer. So that's another one. The other thing I like to bring are any kind of promotions and specials. So make sure you have the host specials for the next couple months with you, the guest special for the current month, and any other kind of promotions and things you're offering. And again, I'll talk to you about some ideas for that. I always like to bring shopping bags with me. So if people buy a lot of little things, I like to have little shopping bags. You can use the ones that you might have extra that Pampered Chef send with our show shipments. But you can also go online and just find those thank you for shopping with me bags, and you can buy those in big packs of like 1,000 for really cheap. And then share them with your team and other people that might want them. You always want to make sure you bring a way to track your leads. So however you're going to do them, if you're doing them with the little drawing slips, that's a really popular way to do it, and have them fill in their information. Or if you have like a little clipboard with a little sign in for them to be added to your email list, you can do it that way, but you want to make sure you have a way of tracking your leads. And then your to-do list. So I always have a running to-do list when I'm at vendor events, either things I can get done if it's slow, or things that I need to do to follow up with people that come by my booth, like maybe it's a recipe or something that you need to send them. So have a running to-do list. Okay, so I mentioned briefly inventory. If you want to bring inventory with you, we can bring small amounts of inventory to our vendor events. And so bring the things that are going to sell really easily. I find that in general, it's items under $20, $25 that generally do best. Easy to carry items, because if they're walking around an event, they're not going to want to lug big old things with them, although they do sell sometimes too. And I also like to find items that are unique to Pampered Chef. So something that they love Pampered Chef. So like when you say Pampered Chef, like what do they always say? Like, oh my gosh, I love my food chopper. So those kind of things that are more unique to our company or what we're known for are things that you want to bring with you. So here's some items that I find super helpful to have with me at vendor events if you're going to invest in some cash and carry items. Measure-all cups. I love all the sizes of measure-all cups, and people always love, oh, do you have that cup that does the little squishy thingy? So anyway, bring those with you. Mix and chops are a great one. Pizza stones, it's pretty much, if I'm going to bring a stone, I love to bring the pizza stones or the bar pans. Those are two of the most popular ones. So, and I don't bring a bunch, but just to have one on display looks really nice. Then can openers, jar openers, the bamboo tools, Twix-It clips, food choppers, paring knives, mini serving spatulas in the nylon and the metal ones, the popcorn maker, pan scrapers, those little nylon pan scrapers that you get with the stone, and then the mix and scrapers. So those are some items that I find do really, really well at vendor events if you're going to invest in cash and carry. The other thing I like to do is I like to do a bargain bucket or a clearance bucket, because people always love to feel like they're getting a deal. So maybe you have some items that are discontinued that maybe you just have sitting around that you'd like to move. Or maybe you just have some of the less expensive items. So you can put things like in a bucket, like I might do $6 an item or 4 items for $20. And then just throw in a whole bunch of stuff like the seasonings and the little pan scrapers and the little mini nylon spatulas. I also have a bunch of those like picnic plates that I got from my surprise boxes at conference. So you can throw those in. But having a clearance bucket or something that's a really great deal is something that people always love to see. All right, so now where do we make our money? Let's talk about the details. So the money is always in the follow-up. So what are you doing to make the most from your booth? So first of all, I always make friends with the organizer of the event and other vendors, because that's where you're going to get leads for other shows. And if other vendors are doing well, they're going to buy from you. And so I have a lot of vendors that like to come and shop with me. So on the first day, like as I'm setting up, if I have some extra time, I'll go around and introduce myself to other vendors and make friends with them. And I always wear my apron so that they know what booth I'm representing, and just make friends with them, because then as their day goes well, they're going to want to come and visit you. And maybe even buy from you or book with you. So I find a lot of my really good leads come from other vendors. So make sure you're being friendly and not a salesy way with the other vendors that are out there. And then making friends with the organizer, because a lot of times if they do one event and organize one event, they're going to organize more. So you really want to make sure that you're their Pampered Chef contact. I only like to track leads that want to be contacted. So I know there's a lot of opinions on how to do vendor events and generate leads. Sometimes you like to do a drawing and tell everybody that if they put in for this, that you'll draw a name for like maybe a free product or a free cooking show or something like that. I personally only want to contact people that want to be contacted, not that just want a free gift from me. And in the past, I've given away gifts and then that's literally all they want from me. So I personally like to make sure I'm only contacting people that want to be contacted. So how do you do that? You can do anybody that's interested in a cooking show or a virtual party, like maybe you'll do a prize drawing for those. So those are people that are specifically interested in working with you. You can do something like anybody who purchases something from you or places an order will go into a drawing. So you can do those kind of things. I always like to do some kind of like booking promotion when I'm at a vendor event. So I have a sheet that I use that I have all of my open dates in the next like 6 weeks or so. Again, you can do this as a virtual or a cooking show, but I have my open dates and then I have some kind of like vendor show special. So it might be something like a free batter bowl or a free pizza stone, depending on what's in your budget. You can always add that onto the host order and they get something extra for free for setting a date with me at the vendor event. So they actually have to give me their information and set a date right there at the vendor event. And then that's the incentive that I add to their order when they close out their show. So that's a great way, so that way you're getting information from people that want to hear from you. If they are interested in doing a show and want to hear more from you, I always love to send them a text right away. And you can even create like a really cute graphic for that event. So that way it's something really fun that they'll get from you in a text message. But at a minimum, if I have somebody in my booth that says, hey, I'd really like to do a show, but I have no idea about my calendar or my schedule, just, I'll contact you. And I'll say, oh, even better, I can send you the upcoming specials right now. So that way you can choose what month would work better for you. And then just say, let me grab your cell number. And I immediately send them a text right then and there that just says, hey, this is Genevieve Black with Pampered Chef. It was so great to meet you today at such and such vendor event. I'll get in touch with you as soon as the event's over with the upcoming specials. Thanks so much for stopping by. And so that way they immediately have a text and the conversation has already started. So that way I don't feel weird about like trying to explain how I met them and all this kind of stuff a couple days later. The conversation's already started and then I can follow up with them. So that's another way to track contacts and leads. And then you can do the same thing with the recipe. It's always, what are you going to offer them? They never want to give you information if they think that you're just going to contact them and be like sell, sell, sell. So maybe they're in my booth and I talk about a particular recipe that I love and I say, oh, I'd love to send that to you. And then immediately I'll get out my phone and say, let me text you. And then as soon as I get home tonight, I can email you that or text you that recipe. So that's another way to do it. Let's see. Oh, I also offer coupons for orders after the show. So whenever I give away a mini catalog or a recipe card or an old catalog, which by the way, that's a great way to get rid of old catalogs, I always staple a coupon to the front that basically says, first time purchase with me, you get 10% off your order or 15% off your order. And then I have my contact information. And then always make sure there's an expiration date on that coupon. So that way there's some urgency to contact you. So if you do an event today, like maybe you'll make the coupon expire on November 1st. So that's another way that you can do that. I also like to offer some kind of incentive or extra perk for buying from me at the vendor event. So sometimes I'll do no tax or no shipping or both. And they can either do that on products that I have on hand or orders that they'd like to place. So just an incentive, because otherwise what they'll do is they'll say, great, if you give them a catalog, they'll say, great, I'll go ahead and go online and order. And most of the time they're not. So you always want to make sure there's an incentive like the coupon or like the no tax, no shipping or something like that if they place an order with you right then and there. So those are some ideas on how to make sure that you make the most of your contacts and your leads whenever you're at the booth. So a couple other important items whenever you're doing vendor events, make sure that you dress professionally and clean, making sure you have your logo wear on or your apron so that they can identify you as a Pampered Chef consultant. But first impressions are big, so make sure you look awesome. Make sure you're friendly with even those passing by. So even if they're walking by, I always tell them, hello, how's your day going? Like immediately, like just have a friendly conversation and don't go into your sales pitch right away. Even when they come into my booth, I make sure and introduce myself, put my hand out there, shake their hand, let them know that I appreciate them stopping in, ask them if they've heard about Pampered Chef, ask them what their favorite product is, asking if there's something they're looking for today, offer them a recipe. So I try and do all of those kind of things. Don't immediately go into your sales pitch and say, oh, would you like to buy something with Pampered Chef? Because you want to create that relationship with them and be sincere. Make sure that you're standing at your booth. Don't sit down and don't sit on your phone during the event, because it's going to look like you're not approachable and people aren't going to want to come into your booth. And then make sure, last but not least, to make sure and create goals for what you would like your results to be at that vendor event. Anytime I go into a vendor event, I have like a certain amount of sales I'd like to make, or maybe a number of orders, or how many shows you'd like to book, or how many recruit leads that you would like at that event. Make sure that you have all of those kind of things as a goal. Because that's how you're going to reach it. Just like we go into a cooking show or a virtual party with the goal that we'd like to reach, make sure that you do all of that. I also like to have some kind of recruiting, like obviously your brochures and your flyers and your recruiting promotions, but maybe like a certain particular group of product on a table that's part of our new consultant kit. So that way it's a great lead into that conversation if they immediately start eyeing some of those products. So that's about all I have on vendor events. I hope that gives you some ideas on how to be successful and how to set up a great vendor event. I hope you guys have a great time at these. They're so much fun because you get to meet lots of new people. And it's a great way to jumpstart your business. So my personal goal is to always make sure I'm doing 2 events every single month so that I'm always meeting some new people and growing my business. So good luck and have fun.